Ladies and gentlemen, it is about that time. The NBA draft lottery is a little over 24 hours away as of the time I'm recording this. Every fan base in the lottery, so excited, so nervous. This is potentially franchise-altering stuff we're talking about here. And since we are this close, yes, there's some playoff stuff to talk about. But I decided for today's video, you know what? I'm going to go over each and every team in the draft lottery and rank them by which teams I want Victor Wembanyama to go to the least and which teams I want him to go to the most. And you guys already know the direction this is headed, huh? Take a look. Read it and weep. Looks good on you, man. Hey, Mavs Blue looks good on you. All right. Take it a little bit easy. Relax. Yes, I know Mark Cuban. I know Mark Cuban is the owner, but we can make it work. Anyways, today we're going to go over each and every lottery team. I'm going to rank which teams I want Wembanyama to go to the least, which teams I want him to go to the most. And I'm wearing these glasses here, these heart glasses, because at the end of the day, I'm a lover, not a hater. I think it'd be cool for any of these teams, really. It's kind of cool to see them get Wembanyama. But at the end of the day, I'm a hater. And there are some teams I would hate to see him go to. All right? And stay tuned later in the video because I have a very big announcement. But let's get right into this. I have a tier list. I've got everything set up and ready to go. And I'm going to show you guys my opinions. Look at these tiers right here. We have the slightly hater tier. These are teams that, hey, just straight up, I don't want to see him go there. Like, nothing against your team, but I don't want to see him go there. The slightly rival tier. These are teams where it's like, hey, you know what? At the end of the day, the Mavericks, they have some rivalries. And I don't want to see one of the best draft prospects in recent memory go to one of your teams. No offense. God bless you, but that's just the way it goes. Slightly unmoved. Teams where, okay, yeah, it's fun. I can talk myself into it, but a little disappointed. Big market biased. That's what they've been calling me lately. Big market biased. I don't know why. It could be that, you know, I just, whenever I watch my Lakers play, I get really excited about watching my Lakers. But outside of that, I don't know why they call me that. Slightly juicy. These are teams that I'm interested in, and slightly biased. And you guys know exactly where this is headed. All right, so let's just waste no more time. Let's get into it. Charlotte Hornets. All right, well, we're starting off with a banger. Slightly hater. I don't want to see him go to Charlotte. Need I explain why? I feel like it's self-explanatory. And no offense to the Charlotte Hornets. No offense to the city of Charlotte. I'm sure it's a great place. Never been. Heard it was cool. Just kidding. I've never heard of anybody going to Charlotte. Again, God bless it. But I just don't really want to see him here. Now, on paper, you know, LaMelo and Wemby, that is fun. Like, that's a pretty fun a duo right there. And then you add, like, you know, Miles Bridges, who I'm assuming is coming back into the mix. That could be a good team almost immediately. But there's just something in me. I don't really want to see him there. And again, I'm sorry, but that's just the way it goes. Another team I'm putting in the slightly hater tier, it is the Pelicans. And listen, here's why. All right, you guys won the lottery for Zion when you had a 4% chance. All right, so I don't want to see it happen to you again. I hate seeing good things happen to people, you know, more than once. Once, I'm cool with that. Outside of that, my hater instincts kick in. I have to put my foot down. I don't want to see this happen. Obviously, I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan. The Pelicans are in the Mavericks division. That's a big reason why I don't want to see it happen. And also, too, you go to New Orleans, you're going to be injured half the fucking time. That's just what history has shown us, and I would hate to see that happen for Wembanyama. So I'm putting the Pelicans in the hater tier, although, and another big reason why is they would be disgusting immediately. Like, they would be absolutely disgusting, and I don't want to see it. And another team I'm putting the slightly hater tier, you can't see them. They're off to the side. You probably know who it is. The Wizards. Again, one of these organizations where it's like, gross. You know, like Wembanyama, this generational prospect. Do I really want to see him in Washington? It would be great for DC fans. If you're a Wizards fan, you're probably thinking, what the hell did we do? Like, I'm just trying to enjoy my team. I'm just trying to have something to root for and be happy about. And now all of a sudden, this guy's telling me he doesn't. Listen, it just is what it is, okay? This is just my opinions on the matter. And I wouldn't really like seeing Wembanyama in Washington. And another big reason why is I feel they would immediately fall into the trap where they would be good enough to be, you know, fringe contenders. And by fringe contenders, I mean first round. Maybe you make it to the second round here and there. But they were never, you know, they got too good too fast. And it would kind of ruin their rebuild. That's kind of how I feel about them. They don't have a lot of young talent on their roster already. That's great. And they have, like, Beal, KP if they bring him back, Kuzma if they bring him back, who knows. All of these guys are going to make them good, but not great. And that's a bad spot for a great young generational player to be in. Trust me, I know exactly how that goes. All right, so these are my slightly hater tier teams right here. It wouldn't be the end of the world. I'll be excited for whatever fan base lands, whatever franchise lands the Wembanyama pick, the rights to the Wembanyama pick. But these are the teams right here that it's just like, really? That's where he's going? Ugh. Now let's get into the slightly rival tier. The Rockets go here. I think that I think they're trending upwards. And if they were to land Wembanyama, they have good young talent. They have Ime Udoka now as the coach. A lot of rumblings that they're going to bring in James Harden. That's a team that could be good immediately if Wembanyama is even like 75% of what we think he's going to be. So I really don't want to see that as a fan of a team that is in the Rockets division. So that's just, Jabari Smith next to Harden, I think becomes a lot better. Jalen Green, I'm still a big believer in. KPJ. Şengün, I don't really know what that does for him, bringing in a guy like Wembanyama, but I would be kind of scared of this team immediately if they were to get him. And the same can be said for the Spurs. For me, this is a nightmare scenario. Now, for Wembanyama, this is probably exactly what you want. You go into one of the best organizations in all of sports. You're coached by one of the best coaches in all of sports, and you're surrounded by a pretty slept-on young supporting cast. There might not be like a second solidified star, but honest to God, Devin Vassell could get there. I really do believe he could turn into a very, very good number 2. Keldon Johnson, I'm still a believer in. I still think he's a good player, but I think he's a good like 3 or 4, right? And if Wembanyama could be everything he can be, they're still probably not going to be good next year, but that's another reason why I would like the Spurs. If I were a neutral fan, I would like the Spurs getting him because they could still potentially be bad next year and get another young guy to add to the mix, and then they're ready to go when Wembanyama gets to year 2, year 3, whenever those type of prospects really start to blossom. But as a Mavericks fan, I would hate to see this, so that's why I'm putting them here. Neutral fan, this would be an ideal scenario. Let's get into the slightly unmoved tier, and it's a little bit sad, but I have one team here, and that's Portland. I wouldn't be like a big hater about it or anything like that, because I do think that would make them a pretty interesting team moving forward, but it doesn't excite me in the slightest. Portland landing Victor Wembanyama. Again, I could see, Damian Lillard, they get their young guy. It kind of pays off what they're doing, trying to do this. Hey, we're trying to build for the future while also kind of try to contend now. Wembanyama sort of helps solidify that and I guess makes their decision correct, assuming he's as good as we think he could be. But again, it just doesn't really move me much. I don't want him on the West Coast. And the reason why is those games are so fucking late all the time. I want to be able to watch him without falling asleep halfway through the game because it's 1 a.m. where I'm watching the game. So yeah, I'm putting Portland here and slightly unmoved. It just wouldn't do much for me. Now we get to big market biased. Chicago goes here. I don't know. I get kind of excited thinking about Chicago landing Wembanyama just because they're one of the most popular franchises in the sport without really much to show for it for the last 25 or so years. The Rose stuff was very unfortunate for them. They were a great team, and who knows what could have happened if Rose never had to deal with all those injuries, but he did have to deal with those injuries. And since then, it's kind of been like a cacophony. Is that how you say that word? Cacophony of mediocre. And that's a sad place to be, especially for one of the game's premier franchises. So I think it'd be kind of cool to see Wembanyama in Chicago, to see this market sort of, back where it should be in basketball lore. I think that would be pretty cool. And I'm also putting Toronto here. I love the idea of him in Toronto. For him, it gives him the chance to be this sort of huge, gigantic, iconic hero for this entire country. Where it's like, yeah, DeRozan was that for a little bit. Kyle Lowry maybe. Obviously, Vince Carter was that guy whenever he was there. Kawhi, only there a year, won them a championship, but wasn't there long enough to be the guy. Like, he could be Canada basketball, right? Like, as far as just representing the Toronto Raptors, because, of course, you got, like, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the Canadian national team's nice and all of that. But I think it'd be cool. And also, you have the French connection, right? He's French, Canada, French, Toronto, French. Actually, it's more Montreal, huh? So, anyways, I think Toronto would be a pretty interesting fit for Victor Wembanyama. These are the teams here where my only real rationale for thinking it'd be cool is that they're big markets. That's really it. And that's why they do call me big market biased. All right, guys, let's get into this announcement. It's a big announcement. I really can't believe I'm about to be saying what I'm about to be saying, but I'm saying it. I will be live on the Bleacher Report app this Thursday. So Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Any other standard times, you're going to have to look up yourself, okay? Those are the only 3 I really know off the top of my head. I will be live on the Bleacher Report app. We'll be talking about the Dallas Mavericks. They hit me up. They said, hey, man, you want to come and talk about the Mavericks? I said, me? You sure? Okay, yeah, I'll come on. I'll talk about them. So I'll be live on the app. If you have access to the app, you just open the app, and I'll be right there. This beautiful face We'll be right there talking to you. The chat will be there and everything. It'll be like a normal stream, but just over on the Bleacher Report app. So make sure you guys mark your calendars for that this Thursday. Don't miss out. Make sure you're there. We're going to talk about the Dallas Mavericks, and that will be after the draft lottery. We will know exactly where they are picking or potentially disastrously not picking, which would be, we'll have a lot to talk about if that's the case. All right, let's finish up this tier list here. We have the slightly juicy tier and the slightly biased tier. These are the teams that I'm very interested in. I'll be excited if Wembanyama goes to any of the teams in the slightly juicy tier, slightly biased tier. Need I say more? Pistons, slightly juicy. I think it'd be very, very interesting. Another kind of similar to the Bulls, where this is this like sort of storied franchise in NBA history that's just kind of over the last 20 years or so just hasn't really, done much of anything. And I do think it'd be cool for them to land Wembanyama, because you also pair him with some of the other young guys they have, Cade Cunningham, Jay Nivey, Jalen Duren. I think that becomes incredibly interesting. And they're a team that is openly trying to make the playoffs next year. So Wembanyama, landing Wembanyama, if he, again, is like 75% as good as we think he could be, they could be a playoff team as soon as next year. I think it's definitely possible. And they will definitely be one of the most fun, exciting young cores in recent memory, because I'm still a gigantic Cade believer. Jay Nivey showed a lot of stuff towards the tail end of the season, and Duren is a freak. I'm interested to see how that center rotation or that big rotation will work out, because they have, they went out and got Wiseman. They went out and got Bagley. I'd be interested to see which guys left out of the mix, but that would be a really, really fun young core. Pacers, also, same thing. Super fun young core. Tyrese Halliburton, an incredible season. All-star. A lot of people hate him. I really don't get why. But I think that adding Wembanyama to this team, a team coached by Rick Carlisle, would be very, very interesting. They would be doing some very interesting shit offensively with Wembanyama and Rick Carlisle. And I think that would give you this Twin Towers lineup that you could definitely play with Miles Turner and Wembanyama. It would be super, super interesting to see those two next to one another. And that would immediately be one of the best defenses in the NBA. Again, if Wembanyama is even 75% of what we think he could be. So I got the Pacers in the slightly juicy tier. I think this would be so exciting for them and their fans. Magic as well. Same thing with the Pistons, really. Like, this is already an incredibly exciting young core. Paolo, Franz Wagner, Fultz has shown us some stuff. Suggs, you still believe in him? I think there's a chance that he's still a good player. I love Wendell Carter Jr. Add Wembanyama to this mix, and again, this is one of the most talented young cores we've seen in a very, very, very long time. And I do think that gives you some interesting stuff you could do with Wendell Carter and Wembanyama starting. Like, I think that would be a disgusting defensive front court. And then you have, of course, they would be still one of the biggest teams in the NBA with their starting rotation. I love the idea of this. I think it would be awesome. And I think it would be really cool for Orlando Magic fans. But, part of me is also like, man, they got Shaq. They got Dwight Howard. Like, there's teams that have never moved up in the draft. Like, hey. So, at the same time, I kind of want to be a hater. But I really do love this Magic young core and Magic fans. I weirdly have a lot of Magic fans that hang around the channel. Shout out to you guys. And I'd be really happy for you guys if you were to land him. And same thing with Utah. I think everything that they've done in the last year and a half or so has been great, like just from a team building perspective. They've had some trades that I have not agreed with whatsoever, but I mean, they like the Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert trades, absolutely insane. Like, you hit a fucking grand slam on both of those trades with the returns you've got. And, the Bojan trade, I didn't understand. You giving up Vanderbilt and Beasley and Mike Conley and only getting one pick in return, I didn't really get. But now we're kind of seeing through the playoffs, like, Malik Beasley's a non-factor whatsoever. And Vanderbilt's getting, like, spot minutes now, which is interesting. So anyways, I think it'd be cool to see Victor Wembanyama with the Jazz. And they would have, Walker Kessler, Wembanyama, Markkanen. That's a fun. Abaji has showed some things throughout the season. That's a fun young core right there, and all of the assets they had, they would immediately become one of the most interesting teams in the NBA, because if they wanted to, they could go out and get like a legit second star, like a second player. I'm just now realizing like the ass thing here with the Jazz logo, where the ass is like very prominent. I'm only just now seeing it. Interesting. All right, now we're getting to the slightly biased here. Yes, I have two teams here. The Oklahoma City Thunder, you guys know, I just have so much love for this Thunder team. I don't know why, but I have. It's because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is my favorite non-Mavericks player. And I wish the best for him. I hope the best for him. I think this team has done a tremendous job rebuilding. They really haven't missed on picks. Like, if you go look at their draft history, Sure, maybe there's some picks where it's like, oh, they could have taken this guy. But everyone they've drafted has provided, value for them. And if they add Wembanyama to this mix, holy shit. And then, of course, you have the Twig Towers, the Thin Towers. You have that potential with Chet Holmgren, who, again, is going to be a rookie next year. Let's not forget that. And Victor Wembanyama. That would be incredibly fun to watch. Give Shai Gilgeous-Alexander another weapon. Give Giddey somebody to, throw lobs to. Or it's just, this would be such a fun pairing. And again, they're kind of like the Jazz. They have so many assets that they could go for it immediately. They could say, hey, we were in the play-in last year. We got to the second play-in game. We are bringing in a generational draft prospect. We are also bringing in the third overall pick from a year ago who didn't play at all in his first season in the NBA. We have a superstar, a budging superstar in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Let's go for it. Let's go out and get a disgruntled star if one pops up. Let's build this sick roster. That would be nasty. And then you have the Mavericks. Now, if I weren't a Mavericks fan, I'd put them down here. I would not want to reward this fucking shit franchise with Victor Wembanyama. But since I am a Mavericks fan, I have to pray for it. I have to, okay? Obviously, this is... I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This might be the only thing saving the Luka era. Like, really. If they don't get the first overall pick tomorrow night, I don't know. Like, I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. I don't know what they do moving forward. Okay? So, just for the future of this franchise, I love Luka. I want him to retire a member of the Dallas Mavericks badly. And in order with rings, I don't want him to retire here. I don't want him to stay here for 15 years. And then at the end of it, we're like, wow, they really fucked his career up, man. What could have been if he went to a better franchise? I don't want that. So if the Mavericks don't land the top pick tomorrow night, and they only have a 1% chance, but I'm banking on that 1% chance. You guys have no idea. This is the franchise that has never moved up in the draft lottery. How the hell is that even possible? Never. Silver, do what's right. Do what's right. If the Mavericks don't move up to the number 1 overall pick, the lottery is rigged. Okay? And if they do move up, all is right in the world. That's how I'm approaching this. That's going to be, I'm marking that down. That's the narrative I'm going with. If the Mavericks don't get the number 1 overall pick, the lottery is rigged. I've seen enough. This sport is a joke. Adam Silver stepped down. All of those things. I'm nervous. I'm scared. I'll be live on Bleacher Report on Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be live tomorrow night on this channel for the draft lottery. This league is an awesome league. It rains.